Talking about passive and active income because as a student, you can begin to grow the passive income even before you start your work.
Yeah.
You know, so it's money that you forget and just put somewhere.
Welcome to the Voice Podcast, the podcast for students by student at the St. Lawrence College, Kingston. And today with us we have Abimbola Komolafe, who is a student of St. Lawrence College, but also a fabulous finance coach and who has been in the banking and finance consulting industry for more than 25 years. And you're here with us to talk about personal finance management for students and also how to save, how to earn money in non conventional ways, and also how to invest that money. Even if we have a small budget, or if you're lucky to have a lot, please give me some. And we will gladly make that fluctuate a lot with the help of Abimbola today. And to guide me, we have a wonderful, magical Kiana, which you have seen on the last episode, giving you amazing essential tips. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's wonderful tips, and you will love it. Have a banter. And let's get started with a bit of introduction
Yeah.
about you, Abimbola.
Thank you so much, Sean. I'm excited to be with you and Chana today. This is what I like doing. I love opportunities to share my financial campaign story, and honestly, it's an excitement and a good honor that you are having me here today. I will be talking to students. I will share from my wealth of experience with students, but I also hope that the faculty, the staff members, anybody in the St. Lawrence community who watches whatever we do today would gain from this.
Yes, and Kiana, what do you expect to learn a bit today from this episode?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like I'm coming into this with a really open mind and I'm just excited to learn because as somebody who's in her first year, like I'm starting to realize money is hard to balance, and there's so much I need to learn. So I'm really excited.
And coming from that point, which Kiana just mentioned, where to begin to build that strong foundation, financial foundation for a student? Where do I start? Like I'm 18, 17. Where do I start? What are the good habits?
Thank you, Sean. I like to share what I call the basic building blocks of financial education, the basic building block of financial fitness and financial freedom. There are four things that I like to share with people. The first is intentionality and being deliberate. You have to be intentional about it. You have to want to get financial freedom. You have to want to be financially fit. So that intentionality and deliberate effort on your part is very important. And then you also need to have a target, a financial target. How do you want to end up? You're talking about you just started college, you just got in your first year. Where do you want to be in 12 months' time financially? Where do you want to be in 2 years' time, 5 years? And then when the retirement comes, how do you want to retire? So you have to have financial targets to guide you. And then it's also important financial education, things like this that we're
Yeah.
doing. You have to learn about money. We talked about intentionality. You have to be deliberate about it, and you have to really want to have financial intelligence and financial education. And then the fourth of the building blocks is what I call the ESI model. Anybody that wants to have financial freedom, that wants to grow wealth, must have the understanding of the ESI model, in which case you have to learn to earn more, you have to save better, and you have to invest well. It's a very simple model, but it works.
Oh, thank you.
And so now that we learned a bit like about the blocks that you said are important for students to build on, what are some pitfalls that can lead to the crumble of those blocks for
Thank you
students?
very much. And I like that this conversation is targeted at students, but like I said, after your life as a student, you're going to be, ex-student. So what we're discussing here today is also very valuable to people beyond the student life. Talking about pitfalls, the most important one is to walk your financial journey. Every person has a different financial journey, just like our faces are different. When you begin to walk another person's financial journey, it's a big pitfall. when I begin to want to buy assets the way Sean is buying, the way Kana is buying, or the way Dan is buying, then it's a problem. So you must have your own financial, targets and walk your own financial journey. And I also like to warn students, this is a credit society. You have to be very careful how you manage credit. Debt is important. You can grow wealth if you manage it very well. You can grow wealth on the back of debt, but you need to be careful not to get sunk or sucked into indebtedness and credit card mismanagement. So I've talked about not walking another person's journey, credit card use, and all of that. And there's another thing which can be a pitfall for students. People overlook budgeting. You overlook budgeting, but budgeting is a very, very important tool in getting financial freedom and in acquiring wealth.
And I think like it all starts with budgeting, as you say, it's underlooked. And how do we start making a budget as students?
That's a good one. You have to know where your sources of income. Where will you get funds from? Your income? Are you an allowance from your parents? What you're making from a side job if you're working. So you must understand what you're earning, what you have at your disposal, and then also your expenses. So your budget will help you manage your income against your expenses, and you're able to know, your spending pattern. If you don't work with a budget, you're just like a loose cannon. You get
Yeah.
the money and it just goes in different directions. When I teach people and I talk about money, I say if you don't know where the last dollar went to, the likelihood that you will know where the next dollar is going to is very low. So your budget will help you know where you're sending your money to. And honestly, it's the most powerful tool to acquire financial freedom, and people overlook it a lot.
How do we start by a budget? How do we do that as a student?
Yeah, so the first thing is to understand what a budget is. And a budget is, matching your income against your expenses, your
Okay.
cash inflow against your cash outflow for a specific period. So as a student, what are your sources of income? Maybe your family would fund you for those who are being funded by their family members. And then on the side, you're working. Those are earnings, those are income, cash inflow. And then the student will decide, what am I going to spend on in this particular period? So if you're looking at a monthly budget or a weekly budget, what's coming in for you on a weekly basis? What are you expecting to spend? And the importance of budgeting in financial freedom and in wealth creation is that it helps you to be in control of your money. Your money doesn't just come and go the way it likes. You are in control. You tell the money what you want it to do, because you get it from, on this hand, and you know where it's going to on the other hand, and then you know what surplus you have. I'm sure we're going to talk about savings and investment down the road.
Yes.
Yeah, so budgeting is very important. And I think it's a simple thing that many students just overlook.
So, as you said, like many of us get allowances from our parents, or we have a part-time job, but also like that income might not be enough for many students right now on campus. And what would be some opportunities of making money in other ways that you would recommend to students?
Yeah, for students, I would like the students to understand what they're skilled at and what they're passionate about, and look for opportunities for a service need or a product need around them. In that, you would see opportunity to make money. I know that the world is going, digital and all of that. So people who can apply skills online are more likely to get side gigs and side jobs. You can do freelance writing, editorial services, remote office assistance job. Executives are looking for people all the time to help them, and research. Even as a finance coach, sometimes I have to deploy people to do some research for me, and people make money. So there are many ways, especially in the creative industry, for people to make money and work, a flexible timing, which as students is required. So I think those are some things that students can look at.
Yeah, totally. Personally, for me, I get some money from my parents, but I have my savings. But even then, I still want to keep making money, right? So I currently I have like little side gigs. So I do UGC creating, so user generated content, and that's me applying my skills as somebody who's in the AMC program, kind of applying what I'm learning and what I already have learned. So yeah, so that's one of my side hustles and the things that I do. But there's so much opportunity, like even just some of the things you're listing. Like I think that's easy to forget about.
Yeah, I think like we said earlier on, it's being intentional and deliberate about it.
Mhm.
Not being satisfied and contented with, what they're
Yep.
giving to me. Understanding the ESI model, which says, I want to earn more. So, I'm getting this allowance. I have this part-time job, but I really still want to do more. I still want to earn more. So what can I do? What am I talented in? What am I skilled in? What am I passionate, about? Photography, it's a whole lot out there. They just need to be intentional about it.
Yeah, for sure.
And how would you say, like, for you, Kiana, like making usage content, is it a roadblock in your studies, or is it more encouraging for you?
Honestly, like it's not much of a roadblock. Like it's fairly easy. I enjoy it a lot, and it's good because I can work on my own time, right? Whenever I have a free moment, I can do that, and I haven't found it be an issue yet, but maybe later in the school year when it gets heavier.
Yeah.
But as of right now, no, it's good, and you can really work on your own hours, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we did the E part. Let's get to the S, which is saving. Let's say that we have a part-time job. We also get the allowance. We now are doing a bit of what we are passionate about for a few hours per week. And how do we save from what we earn?
Yeah, the starting point to saving well is financial discipline. Okay, I did explain earlier on about budgeting. Okay, I'm not sure if we've talked about it here, but the 50-30-20 rule of budgeting, it's very critical and very, very important for students and anyone who listens to this conversation at some point. 50% for your necessities, 30% for your wants, and 20% towards savings. And the people, history, experience and statistics shows that the people who save more, who are able to apply a lot of discipline and take out of the 30% of wants, they grow their wealth better. And then when you're young, it's the best time to, make a lot of sacrifices and get your wealth base working and your money beginning to work for you. So in terms of savings, you need to be very, very disciplined. So financial discipline, understanding where you want to, if you give up something, it's because you need to understand what you're giving up and why you're giving it up and what you're expecting for what you're giving up. So in terms of savings, I would say that, and automation also helps. Okay, you can give an instruction to your bankers and say every month, before I even have access to it, take this point, this amount off and save it for me. Yes. So automation is also important in savings. And I think it's also important that students focus on emergency funds, okay? Because if you don't have emergency funds, then what you have saved up, you say you have your savings.
Yes.
When something comes up, you go to it. But if you are saving, if you have a targeted saving scheme that you're involved in, like you're saving towards something, and then an emergency comes up, you're going to go to it if you don't have your emergency funds. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I actually, funny enough, I saw a video kind of about that the other day where it said you make an emergency fund not for if it happens, for when it happens.
Because it's going to happen.
Exactly. So it's good to have. And as far as like savings go, when I did have a job, currently don't, but soon, I always took a percentage and put it into my savings. Like that was something it was a hard, like you have to do that, so that definitely helped me a lot.
Maybe just to add that, most people don't know that when they save, that's the only bit out of what they've worked for that is theirs. Yeah. Every other thing you used to pay a bill. Yeah. Right? So you pay your bills, you settle all your subscriptions and everything. But when you leave something in savings, which you can translate to investments down the road, that's for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So like, let's take the scenario of me right now. So like, if I did it right. So as you know, I broke my glasses and I broke my MacBook at the same time. Ideally. So I have a savings, but I don't have an emergency fund. I did it wrong, right?
Yeah, so you had to break into your savings to settle all that. So it's important, and then maybe just to help, emergency funds, just at least 3 times your living expenses, 3 months living expenses, not your salary. 3 months living expenses should be in a savings account
Okay.
and dedicated for
Yeah.
emergencies.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so, what are some practical strategies that student can use to maximize their savings?
Thank you very much. I believe that you need to live as you're saving. You're working towards financial freedom,
Mhm.
financial fitness, but you also need to live.
Mhm.
So there must be a balance. Now, having said that, it's important to note that you can get discounts from bulk purchasing. I say to people, I love eating out. When my children were younger, it was always a treat. Working so hard as an accountant, it was always a benefit to take them out on weekends. Now, how much of that should you do as a student? Learn to
Yeah.
cook.
Yeah.
When you cook, you save a lot of money. I say to
Yes.
people, when you go out, sometimes you eat the price of a bag of rice in a meal.
Yeah.
So students must learn to cook. Students must learn to cook. Students, ask for bulk, ask for discounts, but purchase things, bulk wise. Make sure that I talk about loyalty. Some people think. I said there should be a balance, right?
Yes.
But I don't like leaving any penny on the table. So if a vendor says I'm entitled to some points for shopping with them, I'll take those points. Okay, I know people who don't believe in that, but I'll take those points. At some point, I might have
Mhm.
to go back into the pharmacy and I have $25 on my. Those are
Yeah.
those are
True.
little ways of making money and
Yeah.
saving, and
That's
they're
true.
very important
Absolutely.
for students. So I mean, there's so many things
See.
that can be done, but I think
True.
I can testify to that. With a grocery brand here in Canada, I accumulated like above $100 of points. Like, well,
Right.
absolutely.
and I'm so happy. Like on some times where like, oh, like I think I'm going to use my points now, and I
Mhm.
felt like, oh, so I'm keeping that $100 in my bank account, kind of. So it
Yeah.
feels great.
That's true.
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
actually every time I go into Shoppers, so like
Mm.
PC Optimum,
yeah,
I've got those starter cards, but I haven't put in the effort to like do it, and I think I'm losing money there. So
That's what we're talking about, being
yeah,
deliberate and intentional.
yeah,
So
right.
you
So
remember it.
you guys have inspired me. I'm gonna set
Yeah.
it up.
I'm glad. I'm
yeah,
happy.
so happy that, and also we have to keep in mind like the reality of students coming here. It's very limited income for each one of us. And the biggest part, which gets a lot of youngsters excited, is investing money. So even with a limited income, let's assume like 20 hours max at $15 is $1,200 per month, which is not a lot considering the economic situation right now. So how should a college student consider starting investing with that amount of money?
Thank you, Sean. Earlier on we talked about pitfalls. Okay,
Mhm.
I think one pitfall that everyone needs to understand, students and yeah, matured people,
Mhm.
whatever, is the fact that investing starts small. So you must learn to invest. It's all about being deliberate and intentional. Like I said at the beginning, $100, compound it over time. You just forget it where it is and let it build and grow itself. I'm not sure I've been able to talk about passive and active income here. We're in school,
could.
we're studying, okay?
Mhm.
We're in school, we're studying to become a project manager, to
Mm.
become a digital marketing expert, a nurse or whatever. When we leave school, well, not everybody's a matured student like me, but when people leave school and they're working for the first time, they are going to earn active income. You have to
Right.
work to get that income. Okay, that's active income. But you see, financial freedom and wealth creation grows on passive income. Grows on passive income. The $100 that you're putting away monthly, the $1,000 that you're putting away quarterly, the money begins to multiply itself and grow itself.
Right.
You don't have to do anything actively. You don't have to run a business actively.
Mhm.
That's passive income.
Right.
And so when we start out in life, we start with active income because we're in employment, we're working for people. Okay? But gradually, you want to make sure that your income moves from being active to passive. And
Right.
then
Okay.
you understand what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what you're putting down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So how do you like? So you say that as a student, we are right now in a phase of active incoming,
Yeah.
because for me, like the biggest challenge, a bit off script right now. So you see a lot of TikTok videos saying like, oh, you need to invest this, you need to invest that. So is it like, and students, we kind of, youngsters, we have this impulsive, we want that money here now and fast. So they might fall into those
And
traps.
so that's another pitfall that we need to guide against. You cannot grow wealth in a haste. And people that make microwave money decisions they end up losing their money. So we have to be very patient and very, I think the word is methodical about it, right? And you say students have very little access to funds. How can they invest? So what I'm trying to say is that students must invest with little. You can buy $100 a portion of a stock.
Don't risk everything.
Don't risk everything. And then I started talking about passive and active income because as a student, you can begin to grow the passive income even before you start your work. You know, so it's money that you forget and just put somewhere. It's difficult, but it's financial discipline. It's sacrifice. It's not going to the movies. It's not buying the most expensive phone. It's eating, bringing a lunch for maybe 3 times a week and eating out just maybe 2 times in the college. So there are things you can do, and it's a lot of sacrifice, but you have to determine at the end of this month, I want to save $100 that I will invest in the capital market or, in stocks.
But just like you said, like saving, making those sacrifices to get that $100 to then invest it. So can you give examples of beginner-friendly investment which college students who are watching can explore?
Beginner-friendly investments. When I talk about investments with people I, coach and, mentor, I talk about the possibility of investing in 3 markets. So it's either you invest in the capital market, the money market, or the real estate market. Now, students may not have the big, enough funds to put down equity and buy houses, investment properties. But, this conversation is also to sensitize people to what is possible down the road. So in terms of real estate market, they need to keep an eye on that. Now, talking about capital market, they can buy shares. Okay, you can buy stocks, you can buy shares. Money market, I got a note from one of my bankers here in Canada, this week, saying that they were offering 5.03% on some savings if I can put it up to between 12 months and 18 months. Yeah. So
that's good.
That's good. With all the fluctuations there in the capital market, so the money market is attractive in that area. So fixed deposits. So it's all about being aware and being conscious. So when you get such notifications from your bankers, you don't throw it away. You read through it and you look for an opportunity. So there are many ways that students can invest if they have large sums. If they want to start small, investments it's something that's doable and actually easily accessible. I'm not licensed to give investment or financial advisory to people here in Canada, but I work with people. I work with coaches. I work with people who are financial analysts that I can guide people and direct them to. So I think the access is there for all students, if you ask me.
And they can contact you, like for your Instagram page.
Which is Finance Coach Today.
Yeah,
Instagram is Finance Coach Today.
Follow, send a message to Abimbola. She will gladly guide you to a financial analyst that can inform you of some beginner-friendly investments.
Absolutely. I have some finance coaches in Canada that that are my friends, and they will guide you.
And Kiana, where will you invest your first stock? In which brand, which company?
Okay, here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm a Starbucks lover, right? So I don't know if I could invest in Starbucks, but if I could, then I'm technically making money every time I buy Starbucks. Girl math, right?
I like that. I like that. So invest where your heart is.
Exactly, because I spend far too much money there, but then I can justify it.
So do you have an iPhone? Do you have Apple? Would you buy Apple stuff?
Oh, yeah. That's another.
Definitely.
Buy Apple. Yeah, Apple, Starbucks.
Apple. Definitely buy what you are.
I like that. And that's very key also in investing, because you don't want to put your money in what you're not happy about.
Right?
And now let's move on to money that we borrow, because a lot of student education is funded through student loans. And a loan comes with interest and timely monthly payment, consistent payment.
Yeah.
How do we manage that effectively? With a rush of studies, a part-time job, friends, assignment, research papers, everything. Sometimes we might forget. So how do we manage that?
Some of the answers, Sean, are already in the question that you put on the table. You have to keep an eye on repayments. Okay, student loan, you have to keep an eye on repayments. Make sure that you don't default. Sometimes things happen on the side and you just maybe want to get carried away and say, oh, I'm going to try and skip this repayment. But bear in mind that when you skip such repayments, your credit is affected. I think for students, managing the borrowing and debt is very critical because, like you say, it's a necessity for some who are not funded by their families and who must just go through education with that. But keeping an eye on it and being aware, okay, of changes out there in the industry, rates going up or down, and negotiating if you have to renegotiate depending on where the facility or the loan came from. I think your question is specific to student loans, right?
Yeah.
So I think keeping an eye on it, making sure that you pay your installments when due, and not being unnecessarily burdened, thinking I'm carrying a weight. I think it's important to understand that it was a facility or a loan taken, to add value to your life, which would yield something down the road. There's no point going with head bowed, I graduated with this loan. When is it? It's going to happen. You just have to be intentional. I think the key word today is intentional and deliberate, about trying to pay it off. It shouldn't be a showstopper. For a very long time, very, very long time, I thank God for the privileged background that I have, but I used to think that borrowing was very bad. And, I'm of the Christian faith. And so for a very long time, I used to think that borrowing was, bad. Then I took up finance coaching in 2017. And I'm grateful to God that the first retirement, I retired well, okay? But I didn't retire well because I was conscious of the things to do. I was just fortunate. Now, borrowing is very essential for wealth creation. That's the point I'm making. Borrowing is very, very essential for wealth creation. But how you manage the borrowing and the debt is what matters. When you come to school in Canada, you get I think like 1,000 naira. Most of the banks will give the students $1,000 credit, credit card. How you use it is what determines whether you grow your credit rating or whether you get sunk into, you know what I mean? So it's been understanding how to manage, the credit and using credit to grow wealth. That's what matters. So it's not a bad thing. I'm not going to send a child to Canada or send your sibling or anybody to school and say, don't take a credit card. No, take a credit card and be disciplined about it. Don't max it out. Don't max it out, maybe 80%. Then pay it, roll it over,
Gotcha.
Having a good credit rating is unbeatable. I can speak from here to there talking about what the benefit of having a good credit rating has done for me. So it's very critical.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, just we're going to move to credit after that, and tell us the benefits so that people really, because for many students who come, they're not used to a credit score system and they don't understand the value of it until it's at that moment they're, oh, this is what the credit. So can you tell us why is it so important to have a good credit score?
Thank you very much, Sean. It's very important. I said earlier on that growing wealth from borrowing, it's very, it's very critical. People need to have that understanding. Now, if you don't build a good credit score, then you miss out on opportunities. Before I started schooling here, I'd been visiting Canada for 5 years. Okay. And I got the opportunity to get, to open bank accounts, and then the cards that I have, I was very disciplined about, how I use it. And the banks themselves started offering me line of credit, So if the point I'm making is if you are disciplined with your repayments, you have $1,000 card, you use it, you apply it well, they would give you opportunities to take more credits and you never know when it will come in useful. Okay. As I'm speaking to you now, I'm sending someone to school on the basis of the personal line of credit I was given. I didn't know I would need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wasn't going to take it when they were offering it because then I wasn't living here. I'm like, why are they offering it? But it's so good to have good credit rating because now the opportunity is there for someone to go to school who doesn't have a credit history here. The person can use that line of facility to go to school. So it's very important. You never know when you need it. Perhaps an opportunity comes from, and there's an, what do you call it? It's a construction, property, off, what is it called now? Is it off, when you pay ahead of it? The word escaped my mind now. And then you need to put $10,000 or $20,000 down. If you have a good down payment, if you have a good credit rating, you can take an advance on your personal line of credit. Okay.
Yeah.
Using credit card for that, the interest may be so high. But if you have good credit rating, it's very important. And as students are graduating, and from today that they're in school, it's very important to pay attention to that. Because if you don't build up a good credit rating before you leave school, even when you start working with a fantastic job, opportunities will just go by and you can't key into that. That's what I think. That's what I think about credit rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, so I don't have a credit card yet.
Yeah.
I'm 17.
Oh, you should get
No,
one.
I'm 17. I would have
you
to
can't get onto 18.
So,
okay.
yes,
Is
but
that the rule here?
yeah, there's something I don't know, or you can co-sign it. I don't know. For whatever reason,
Yeah.
I don't have one yet. My birthday's in like 2 weeks, so I'll be getting one then. But is there any like advice for when you're starting off, like besides what you've already covered, to look for a good credit card, or any tips for when you're just starting off?
I would say start first with the banks.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my recommendation. Start first with getting the cards that the banks are offering. Eventually, vendors and their vendors, would begin to offer you their own cards. But be
Right.
very disciplined. Start with a bank and check, your statements. Check the use of the card as well, and check your statements as they come in. Okay, so that as debits are going to it, you're able to identify your own expenses, because again, people steal people's cards, and
Right.
so you pay attention to it. I would recommend start with a bank. Don't start with a bank before you start considering credit cards given by vendors. I don't want to call names.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yes. No, I know you mean.
So, and then keep an eye. Make sure you monitor it.
Yeah.
Get your statements. Online statements. I don't subscribe for paper statements anymore because they're just there. But online, and then schedule it in your calendar to check. To check on your statements monthly. Credit is very good. Very, very good to build. Very good. You need to build.
Yeah. And so how do you what are some strategies, to, like you say, we need to repay our credit in time, but sometimes, like for myself, for example, coming in, my credit score remains just a flat line kind of, so I repay it in time, I do everything accordingly, but why doesn't it change? Like, why is that happening? Am I doing something wrong? So what are some good strategies to get that up?
I think good strategies to get your credit rating up is, first of all, utilize the credit card you've been given, because it's also there's a flip side to it. Overusing it is bad, but not also using it is also a problem. So use your credit cards, but make sure you don't use more than 80%. Make your payments when due, and if you are already experiencing maybe you're like stuck in it, and you say you're okay, you just want it to be better, but some people are already in too much of debt, and they're just struggling.
Yeah.
So it's now paycheck to paycheck. You can work with a mentor, a coach, get someone to guide you, decide on the debt repayment strategy you want to take, and apply the budgeting tips that we talked about earlier on. Decide what you're going to allocate from the money that you're now making to settle the debt. And if you do have a lot of debts, make sure you understand the debts. Make sure that you understand the interest rates and everything, and then pay the most expensive ones first. That's what I would say. But in order to get your credit up, I would say use your credit cards. Make sure that you take you take loans, but repay the loans. Yeah.
And I think, it all just sums to what you said earlier, the ESI model. I think we walk through that conversation talking about earning money, various strategies, how to save that money and how to invest it, and also how to tackle those loans as well, and credit, how to build that credit. So I think we covered a lot about the basic financial management for a student. But do you have any additional tips about finance that we did not cover for college students? So now let's start with some advice from our coach, like about some bad habits that me and Kiana we have about spending money. Kiana, would you like to say?
Sure. I can start off. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. Starbucks. I spent a lot of money on not even just Starbucks, but just going out. And I think that's something I need to work on. Like even here, I'm on the meal plan, but I still will go out for dinner or do something with my friends. I know the judgment. I'm sorry, but just kind of for that experience, get out of the building, get away. So I definitely need to work on that. But like also just like buying the miscellaneous things like clothes. Like I find that's a big rabbit hole. It's like, oh, there's a new season. I have to buy all these new pieces. You don't, but I do. So that's big.
So what's your take on that, Coach?
Yeah, we're just going back to where we started from, intentionality, being
Yeah.
deliberate, and then
Yeah.
financial discipline. There's nothing wrong with spoiling yourself, but
Yeah.
you can have a budget around it. It's not every
100%.
new, design that you have to have,
Yeah.
And I'm glad that having this session, you've been able to look inwards and say, no, I can have a meal plan and be eating out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, someone's money is burning.
Yeah.
Your parents or your money is burning. The
Yeah.
meal plan is sitting there, right?
That's true.
So I know it's a big, you call it rabbit hole. Yeah. Most people, I said to you that, some dinners are the cost of a full bag of rice.
Yes.
That's the simplest way to put it. So if you can cut down on that, so be intentional
Totally.
about it. So this week is only 2 times I'm gonna.
Yeah. Yeah. Really
what I
cutting down.
mean?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna work on that.
Yeah. Sean needs to tell us his bad habits.
Oh, my
tell
bad
us, Sean.
habits. I'm the perfect person. No, I'm just kidding. So, one bad habit which I have right now, I would say, is I do have a budget, but that process of automation of saving, sometimes it's not here. And for example, I pay myself. I go by the principle like I save my first 10% of my income, bi-weekly income.
Okay.
I put it into my savings account.
Okay.
But I think I'm not doing enough.
Okay.
And I would like to know what should I do more.
Do you have to manually make the transfer? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So you get paid and you manually make the transfer to your
Yeah.
savings. So you give your bank an instruction. You
Mhm.
don't even know about it.
Mhm.
As the money is hitting your account, your savings has been,
Yeah.
credited right away.
Yeah.
So that's the automation is very key, because once it's taken, and that's also important about, buying shares or investing into the future, because once you lock it into the investment, it's not available for any freebies or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
the same way, financial discipline and
And-
taking action.
Yeah, so we were talking about like credit card mistakes that I did. So, and for me, it's like, like spending it there and then 5 days later repaying everything. So I didn't know that you should wait a little bit for like 2 to 3 weeks. Then you repay it before like your statement, because it shows on your like have a statement balance to pay. So that was one of my mistakes which I did. And also I think now I remember what we talked about. I was talking about paying myself as like
savings and
yeah. So for me, I'm at that stage where I want to save more. Like and with the income that I have, I would love to like have those 50, 30,
20
20 in
budgeting
place.
rule. Yeah.
So I would like to establish that in the long term. So
Yeah.
this is the help which I would like to have.
Yeah, I'll be happy to work
Yeah.
with you, Sean. I'll be happy to work with you. I work with a lot of people. And maybe one thing we haven't spoken about while talking to the students today is the importance of students having accountability partners. You need to have an accountability partner, if you want to make financial progress. Someone who's going to ask you, hey, Sean, you said we're going to save $100. What happened? What's your statement looking like? Someone who you talk to about your money, goals and your targets and everything. So I would say that every student should, seek out to have someone. And, there are people offering free mentoring services. And I think you have a project coming up where coaching will be available for students free.
And
right?
I was going to come to that. Did
Yeah.
you know that we have a club which could really help you students into getting better improvement into your lifestyle if you are facing some struggle, big in terms of finance, or you want to improve your fitness, your communication skills? We have a new club which is called the Student Lifestyle Coaching Club. And this club is run by an all-star lineup of fabulous executives. And time to reveal to you the lineup. You have Abimbola, who will be your finance coach, giving you financial guidance, volunteering her time. You have a chance to meet with an experienced financial coach who will give you tailor-made advice for you. So if you're hearing this, follow the page on Instagram, which is SLC _ coaching club on Instagram. You have it. The club, if you want a lifestyle coach, well, the executive is me. So I created that club. So you're most welcome
Cool.
to join. You want to spend time with yourself to improve yourself, then it's the program, it's the club. We have a 4 weeks program for you where we will guide you how to achieve that lifestyle goal. For example, you want to start building a healthy meal plan. where do I start? So I will be there developing that program for you
Right.
for 4 weeks. And then from 4 weeks, we will see to the semester how you progress. And then till the end of it, it's baby steps. And in addition of that, we also have a buddy system because researchers have shown like 70% of people would have succeeded into having a healthy habit becoming a lifestyle if they had someone who was following almost the same pathway as them, someone who they would be accountable for, someone who would they would be able to open and share their vulnerabilities throughout building those habits. So we have a tailor-made buddy system, which means that we are the one as coaches picking your buddy. It's not an algorithm like Tinder picking the person for you. No, we
Yeah.
pick, and it's not a dating thing. No, it's a buddy system. That means you want to learn how to cook vegan food. We will pair you with someone who knows how to cook vegan food. You
Right.
want someone who does training only, who does only cardio, then we will pair you with someone who does only cardio training. So this is like that. We will pair you with the best person so that you can share your journey all together. So that's
Cool.
it. Join the club. We also have an email which is called Student Lifestyle Coaching Club at outlook.com. So I will put it right there. So yeah, you can get in contact with both of us about how to do that. So yeah, that's basically it. Is there any point which I forgot to cover?
Yeah, for the finance coaching, we would be, helping people also with the investments. The finance coach may not do that, but we do have financial advisors and investment advisors that
Yeah.
are already working with us, collaborating,
Yeah.
offering this help to the students.
Hopefully, like we have big plans for this club. We plan on hosting
A
hopefully
webinar.
an event,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
where
so cool. Okay.
we would do like a express clinic kind of way, like a presentation about personal finance
Yeah.
here at the innovation, if we can. But it happens with you, so we need like hands. We need people who want to volunteer for that. So please do join. And what do you think, Kiana, of the creation of such a club?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think I'm gonna have to sign up. Like
Yeah.
Ooh,
that
that's
seems
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
you've got one person for sure, but
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome because there's always room to learn new
Improve,
stuff, and
absolutely.
I think that's the big thing, and you have to want it. And you've mentioned that so many times is that
Yeah.
you really have to want to make money and save
Change.
money and
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a good first step.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and now we are going to close in, with Abimbola. How did you feel about coming today, sharing all this wealth of knowledge about personal finance with us?
Yeah, thank you so much for, hosting me. I like it. It's a privilege. I love it's something that I've started doing since 2017. I want to share my mistakes with people. I want people to learn from my mistakes so they can make less mistakes. And so coming here today, sharing with the students, I think it's a very good opportunity. And I just want to say that it's one thing to share, to have the information out there, but it's also important for the students themselves to take action. You don't want to listen and not get the benefit of the financial education you're getting so early. So taking action is very important. And I also want to say that age is no barrier when it comes to financial fitness and financial freedom. It's good to start early. I was just having a conversation with her during the break. It's good to start early, so you can make your mistakes early. You can, the power of compounding and all of that. But if we have faculty members or staff of the college listening to this podcast, I think, irrespective of the age, people should want to make efforts to do things better. Financial education is key. It's a continuous thing. You don't listen and then you say you know it all. So that's all. I think it's a good one. I think we've had a good conversation.
Yeah, that's
Thank
a very
you so
powerful
much.
message. How about you, Kiana?
Yeah, I
Did
mean,
you
I've
learn something new? Or
Oh,
like,
I learned so much new
yeah.
stuff. I have so many takeaways from this,
Yeah.
and like honestly, like this is what I needed, and it's inspiring me to go further with my money and try to work on my habits and not eating out all the time and getting Starbucks every day. So that's definitely inspiring, and I'm gonna slowly build off that, and hopefully that can take me far.
It's good.
Yeah.
Nice to hear.
And most importantly, I hope you listening to this podcast, you've got amazing value in terms of where to start. If you're just starting to earn money, you're getting the best practices, you're armed, you're equipped with that, how to save. If you want to save more like me, I want to save more money. I think Abimbola was very honest and thoughtful with her advice. And investing, like, it's so intimidating. So hearing from a student podcast like about investment, it's not that intimidating. And I think hearing from our own voices, it will help you getting more comfortable getting into that stage of investment. And with that, please do let us know what the kind of content you would like us to cover in future episodes. Our episodes are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also visual on YouTube. So make sure you watch all our previous episodes, like Kana was in the last one on essentials. We also have a huge library of over hundreds of them. So please do watch all of it if you have time. And thank you for your dear time to listening to this podcast, because without you it doesn't happen. So please, for all that support, give us a thumbs up. We would appreciate it, and give us your comment what you thought about it. And thank you to Dan also, who is our floor
We love you,
director
Dan.
behind the screen, and did a wonderful job for making this production so relaxed and entertaining for all of us. And with that, what can we wish students? Like, have an amazing week again at SLC till you see us next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.